Hey, what's up, and welcome to QnA, the show where I take your questions and answer them here in video format. A lot of questions to get into, and if you want to make sure your question is able to make the show, please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding on that notification bell so you can get the notification when I drop the community prompt for the questions. So if that's interesting to you, make sure you do all of those things, or follow me on Twitter at Quinn_C. Now we're going to get to the first question from Wyatt Ahmad, who says, hey Q, Perion Winfrey is starting to make some strides at defensive tackle. Do you still have high hopes for him, or do you feel like we need to invest in both defensive tackle positions? You can have both. I have high hopes for Perion Winfrey, and that never wavered with me. The soonness that he would reach that potential, right? The immediateness of it, that wavered, right? Because it was clear he needed some time for whatever reason. But now he's starting to flash that potential, look like the guy I saw at the Senior Bowl. So I'm excited about that. As far as the rest of the position goes, look, one guy's not going to save the room. And this is not one of those rooms where you can get another guy and duct tape together and it's going to be okay. No, man. I would love, and it really does depend on who the new defensive coordinator is. If there's a new defensive coordinator, it better be a new defensive coordinator. But it depends on that. But you're going to want to have a rotation, man. You want 4 of them. 4 guys that you feel like can be out there. Look at the Bengals. They got DJ Reader and they got BJ Hill. They have a rotation of defensive tackles on their team. Browns need to find their rotation of tackles. The next question comes from Pee Wee's Dog Pound, who says, are you concerned that the defense plays average or better Stefanski will keep Woods next year? No. Here's why. The last couple of years, the sample size was polluted enough to where you can get away with a, hey, we played well, we were on the right track argument, right? But you only get one of those. You notice that, right? You only get one of those in your career, in your playing career, coaching career. You really only get one of those excuses of, hey, I know you started off horrible, but you finished strong. You really only get one of those. If you're a really, really talented coach, you might get 2, but you really only get 1, and you got to space them things out. And with Joe Woods, he was living off of, hey, they played well at the end of last year. So let's see what happens at the beginning of this year. It was a disaster. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't be fooled again, right? I'm sorry. But, it's certainly one of those things where it's like, if you allow that to fool you again, then that's going to be on Stefanski at that point, right? Like, if I allow you to trick me one time, okay, cool, you got me. Right, Joe Woods, you hit the lick. Okay, cool. That's what's up. But if I allow you to hit the same lick the same way, then now I got to look at myself in the mirror and ask myself some questions about what it is that I'm doing with my life that I'm allowing myself to be scammed. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody gets scammed once, it's a tragedy and it's a crime and it sucks and you put it in a pamphlet. If somebody gets scammed twice, they're just a sucker. So, again, Kevin's been scammed once. If he allows himself to get scammed twice, that's on him. Can't really defend that, right? Can't really defend that. But that's on him at that point, because then it's just like, all right, you can't even help yourself from getting suckered. Ian with the next question says, hey, Q, why do you think there's so much of a high degree of animosity towards Stefanski from some fans? He's been the most competent coach we've had in years, great offensive mind, but still not satisfied, want him fired. There are 3 things I think factor into this. 1, the expectations for the teams that Stefanski have been the coach of, and partly due to his own success in 2020 when he won Coach of the Year, the expectations for the team have been higher than what the situations in context graded out to be. What I mean by that is, after 2020, the expectations were crazy for 2021. Well, then Baker gets hurt, and maybe Baker just wasn't as good as we thought he was based off of those 11 games in 2020. Maybe there was a bit of fool's gold in there that we were blinded by because we wanted to see a franchise quarterback in Cleveland. So that got you, right? You got by that. Baker was not who you thought he was, and the expectations were based off of Baker Mayfield being somebody who he just wasn't ready to be. And then honestly, he benefited in 2020 off of like some favorable circumstances when it comes to his player health and the offensive line and all that. And then you get to 2022, and the expectations were all over the place because you have the excitement of Deshaun Watson, but you don't get to watch Deshaun Watson for 11 weeks. And then the offense comes out and is good, and people are mad, right? Whenever somebody sets an expectation high and it's not met, people are going to be upset. Also, a part of this is, look, man, we can't just say it's Browns fans. Every fan base that's had a coach for a long time wants to fire the coach. It's just what people say, right? It don't make no sense sometimes. It's not a justified argument. I mean, listen to the argument you hear when somebody says they need to fire the coach. It's usually some nonsense. It's usually, well, they didn't win. Or, well, he needs to fire these guys up and get them ready to play. Or, it's always something very intangible that you can just say and it can't be challenged in the argument because you're not really like making a real argument. You're just expressing how you feel about the team and using him as the scapegoat. Coaches are scapegoats. I have seen plenty of Steeler fans talk about firing Mike Tomlin all the time, right? I have seen plenty of Raven fans talk about firing John Harbaugh all the time. I mean, before they fired Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati, they were talking about that every week almost, it felt like, right? When a coach is there for a long time, a lot of people from the outside looking in think that there's like this great relationship between that coach and the fan base and that everybody loves everybody and that it's never been tumultuous. But in reality, that coach has been on this hot seat millions of times with that fan base. Honestly, on an 8-week basis, every 8 weeks, the fan base wants to fire the coach. People wanted Jim Tressel fired when Jim Tressel was in Ohio. And now we talk about how we want him back. That is what it is. People gonna want the coach fired. It don't matter where you coach. It don't matter what level of football you coach. If people are mad at the team and you coach it, they gonna want you fired, and they're gonna say that you should be fired. Let Alabama lose 2 games again. People gonna want Nick Saban fired. It happens, man. That's just what it is. Trying to make sense of it is a fool's errand because this ain't sensible. You know what I mean? When people generally say fire the coach, it's usually just a emotional reaction to something, and then they get challenged on it, and now they have to make it like their opinion. But people just say fire the coach all the time. It's a simple solution you can fill out there. You don't have to throw any players under the bus. It's just a really convenient thing to do. Now, should fans do that? I don't know, man. It's hard being a fan, and it's hard policing fans. That's not really useful. But that's just kind of a thing that happens. You know what I mean? I think we would be better served if we saw that kind of stuff, and if you're not the type of person who's inclined to get all emotional after the game and say fire the coach, just ignore it, man. That's what I try to do, is just ignore it. Unless it's especially egregious or somebody's trying to make something that looks like a point that's not really like a good point, then you have to debunk it. But unless it becomes something you have to take serious, you just got to ignore it, because people just be saying shit sometimes. And I think that's a lesson that we can learn human-wise, is that sometimes you don't got to react to everything somebody says that doesn't sound right or sounds kind of dumb. People just be saying stuff, and you can ignore most of the stuff that people say, especially when you don't know these people. But that's my whole take on it. The next question comes from Jackson, who says, are you worried about Wyatt Teller, or do you think the calf injury is still lingering? Oh, absolutely, it's lingering. Yeah, he's still hurt. He's clearly still hurt. Now, doesn't excuse how badly he's played, because it's one thing to not be at your peak, but he should be serviceable. He's not serviceable. So if he continues to be not serviceable, he needs to get off the field. I understand he has no backup right now because Yodi's in at center. But, I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm can Drew Forbes do a better job than him? Because this is not helping anybody. I understand you want to be a tough guy, and I understand, there is that traditional masculinity element of it, where it's hey, I want to be the tough guy. I want to stay in. I want to be there for my teammates. But sometimes being there for your teammates means sitting on the pine when you ain't up to the grind. Can't believe that rhymed. Oh, that rhymed too. Okay, you know what? Somebody clip it. That's a great moment in QnA history. All right, the next question comes from Eric, who says, from what I've seen from the small sample size of Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, what do you think the Browns should invest in this offseason to maximize their offensive potential? More tight ends, big receivers, right? Now, they might end up getting somebody like Brandon Cooks, but I want red zone targets because it's obvious now the way that the Browns are going to score the ball in the red zone is letting Watson cook. Get him some big bodies to throw the ball to, some catch radius guys, right? I would love a catch radius guy. I would absolutely love a catch radius guy with Watson. That's that. That next question is from Ben Mayard, who says, obviously Watson is improving, but what would you like to see from him through the final few games? I would like to see him just continue on the path that he's at. You want to have one objectively good game from him where you don't have to make statistical case arguments and it's just like a classic 300 touchdown, 300 yard, 3 touchdown day. I think I said the opposite there. But you kind of want one of those from Watson before you head out, just to make sure that, he can feel good going into the offseason about this offense and what he needs to sharpen in it to make sure his work is up to par. The next question comes from Hayden, who says, should we be worried about Cade? It seems like to me he has had a terrible case of the yips, seems to make it hard to miss the easy ones. I'd like to think yesterday was weather-related, but it's been happening most year. I really don't think yesterday was weather-related. Well, not yesterday. Saturday was weather-related. I feel like he's struggling. He's struggling. He's not getting clean. Like, the rule of thumb whenever you listen to kickers talk is just hit a good ball. He's just not hitting good balls. Like, when he misses, he's shanking, and I think he's just doing too much. And I don't know if he's getting extra coaching or something, but he should just be back to the fundamental. Just hit a good ball. He is clearly thinking about it too much. He just needs to hit a good ball, right? It's like golf. It's like anything. If you're struggling to hit and you're a baseball player, you're not going to be trying to pull reverse field something, right? You're just trying to hit the ball. Just hit a good ball. If you're a golfer and you're struggling, you just want to get a good strike on the ball. Don't worry about where it's going to go. Just get a clean strike on the ball so you can get back. That's what Cade needs to focus on more. Is just hit a good ball. The weather and all that don't matter. Like, I think we put too much emphasis into that, right? About, are you going to calculate the weather and figure out the wind chill, when at the end of the day, you just got to kick a good ball. Just kick a clean ball. It'll go where your hips are going. You don't got to do all this math, right? That people make it seem like kickers have to do and figure out which flag is here. You don't. Sometimes we're making this calculus when it's algebra. We are. And I think Cade is making this calculus when it's an algebra equation. Just hit a good ball and have your hips where the ball needs to go, and that's where it's going to go. If there's wind, there's wind. Hit a good ball. Just hit a good ball. He's thinking about it too much. He's trying to do too much. Just hit a good ball, man. It's really that simple. The ones who figure that out are the ones who stay in the league forever. The ones who don't are the ones that bounce, don't even that get out the league. Like Robert Aguayo, he never figured it out. Roberto Aguayo, my bad. He never figured it out. They need to figure it out. I hope Cade figures it out. Jeffrey Brownie says, will AB include Watson? Yes. And Deshaun Watson is going to be informed on every single decision the Browns make personnel-wise, probably. Yeah. He is the guy. This is his franchise now. He's the face of the franchise. He's the quarterback. This is Deshaun Watson's team now. He's going to be informed on the process, him and Myles Garrett. But that's going to be it for this Q&A. You guys have a great day. Have a good night.